From FedEx Forum and the American Home Shield Studio, this is The Odds Couple on GrindCityMedia.com. Handicapping all the football action, here's Rob Fischer and Lang Whitaker.
Hello, good people. Welcome to The Odds Couple as we get you set this week for the NBA season. Welcome, everyone. Rob Fischer, Lang Whitaker
What's
with
up?
you. How are you, sir?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. Doing well. We got NBA basketball now starting. We had baseball start last week. And no better way to bring in the NBA season than bring in Brevin Knight with us as well.
Welcome.
Glad to be here. This is
Grizzlies TV
Brevin was
analyst,
a-
TV
He was jamming out to the theme song. I liked it.
NBA veteran.
But here's the thing. The thing about this, I feel like those guys go into ESPN and they like the guests that come in and then they do like all of this to hit all of the shows.
Right.
Car wash.
It's kind of what you're doing
I
today.
feel like that today.
Yeah,
Like,
you did a little rise and grind.
little
Make you
rising-
feel special? Yeah.
Yeah, it feels good though.
Yeah.
But know what is cool? It's cool that I can come here and I do that here with
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
team. That
Exactly.
we have this type of setup. So I was like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
I'm the drop-in guy.
I was
well,
actually,
thanks.
as an aside, I saw Brevin was enjoying our theme music. I was watching Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives the
Oh, I
other
love
night.
that. I love it.
Guy Fieri goes in some restaurant. They play our theme music in the background.
Really?
Yes.
That's it.
So I'm assuming Roser and Guy Fieri must get
Yeah.
their music from the same place.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I'm sure that's how it works. We got NBA basketball starting this week. The
incredible.
bubble has worked. I mean,
Yeah.
I think when the NBA announced that they were coming back and they announced it was going to be the last couple of days of July, we were wondering, well, what are we waiting so long for? Well, we waited so long to answer a lot of questions, and I think the NBA's answered them, Brevin. I mean, it's usually the happiest place on earth, might be the safest place on earth.
Well, I think today they came out with 360 plus guys that have been tested, and there's 0 guys have tested positive.
Yeah.
So I think just that alone lets you know that this has been a success to this point. And if they can just continue it to be the bubble situation, then it should not change because there's nothing that has been able to penetrate to this point. So I think that I'm glad that it's happening that way so that we can sit up here and talk about the NBA, the games, the players that will be playing, and not talking about the effects of what could have happened.
the bubble is held despite some extenuating circumstances from some players.
Have you ever had the wings at Magic City? I'm just
Lang, is he
asking about.
talking to you,
I'm just
Lang?
asking.
Oh,
I'm just
I-
asking.
I
Well, yeah,
wasn't
Lang,
talking-
you're from
I-
there
I-
too.
I'm from Atlanta.
Yeah, so maybe you have.
Were you talking to Lang?
I haven't had the wings there.
No.
But the funny thing to me is the only reason people are talking about it is because it was at Magic City. Like if Lou Williams had gone back to Atlanta for whatever, he was there for a funeral, I think. But if he
Yeah.
had gone back and stopped at Waffle House and gotten food, then it's not like people are like, all right, he got food somewhere, whatever, But because it's Magic City, it's still this huge stigma that Brevin's even afraid to talk about it right now.
Come on, he didn't go for just the food.
There weren't even any
food's
dancers.
amazing.
There's no dancers there.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true.
Curbside it.
Now, listen. Now, maybe he could have had someone else go in and get it.
Sure.
And then go just because of the circumstances that the league is under at this
Yeah.
point.
Right.
But the wings are really good there.
It's funny though because when he said I went for the wings, with the world we live in now, the internet, everybody went and dug up receipts because you can go on the Magic City Kitchen website. They have an Instagram account. I've looked. On their menu, Lou Williams wings.
Yes.
It's listed. There's interviews from 6, 7, 8 years ago where Lou Williams says, my favorite restaurant in Atlanta is Magic City. He's talked about it consistently for years. So when he says, I just went to get some wings, it's actually, there's plausible deniability there.
Sure.
And listen, it's not bad. It's not bad publicity for Magic City.
No.
It's seen for something else.
Yeah.
Wings and.
Yeah. The circumstances obviously are unusual in
Yeah.
what we're going through with this bubble. Brevin, we've watched the last few scrimmages. Obviously, even calling a game. Weird at first, but then you kind of settle in. Do you think that's how the players are kind of doing it?
Yeah, I definitely felt that way at first. When you first sat down there and you started talking, it was like, there's nobody here. But just even you and Vernon were sitting behind us. Just you two being there, Pugs was there. It was like, okay, there are other people here, and we're so into the game. that everything else really didn't matter at that point. It was just like I was more so thinking about the person that's at home watching it. Am I giving them forget what we need or what type, and what do they need to have a great experience? And so I think that took over more than the fact of what type of atmosphere we were calling the games. But I think the players themselves, it was going to take these scrimmage games to really understand and acclimate themselves to what this was going to be like, because none of them have played under these circumstances, because any summer league that they play in, they're still fans. They're people that are there. So this was so different. I think that those 3 scrimmages at least helped them get ready to understand what this was really going to feel like.
The thing that jumped out to me watching it on TV is how much space there is around the court.
Yes.
Because there's no photographers on the baselines. There's no fans in the front row. There was a play yesterday where Luka Doncic went after a ball on the sideline, and he went like 7 feet past the sideline before he reached anything to stop him. And it made me think about how different it is. And for the players, it's different. Like you don't have to worry about getting bumped out of bounds and falling into some guy holding a beer and all this stuff.
Right.
Now they have space, and forever we've heard guys talk about, hey, move the photographers back and all that. Well, now this is it. This court. If you watch it on the thing, there's like all this space all around it. The scorer's table, they're behind the plexiglass. Like it looks like they're like in something in like rollerball or something. Like it looks pretty weird, but it's interesting to watch.
I think the visual's been great. I think the NBA did a great job with the visual. It reminds me a lot of a Super Bowl, because you could be at home watching the AFC and NFC championship and fly to the Super Bowl site that night, and when you arrive, the signage and everything, it's an event and it's already up for those specific teams, and it just feels so big. I think they've made it feel like an event, like a big deal with the signage that they have. I think it looks great. Yeah.
I thought it was pretty interesting also just to see how they changed the visuals per team.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, and it looks different. Depending on who's playing in the same place, it looks totally different.
Well, they've went and took everyone's home court, and not just your home court, but they also took everything that's around your court. Yeah. But then they put the virtual fans up. In the first couple of scrimmages, I saw it one game, and then I didn't see it much. Yeah. But the last couple, you really saw them up there. And so it was nice to see them up there constantly. I didn't want it to be something where they like flashed them up there sometime. Because like you're playing the game, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, they just flashed some people up there. That would throw you off.
Well, somebody was saying, you would be able to speak to this, that I think one of the first games I watched, there was nothing really on the screen, just kind of like color or something. Yes. And they were saying as a shooter, like maybe that's why like somebody like Duncan Robinson's shooting 80% or whatever he's shooting on threes in this, because you're in a small arena. You don't have a million people in the background moving and stuff. Like for shooters, like maybe this is going to be a lot more conducive to the way they play than it is playing in a big arena.
Well, I guess you asked me because I play with a lot of shooters. Well, I play with a couple. So from what they have told me is that they just like consistency. Yeah. Whatever that may be, and that's what they tend to focus on. So for Duncan Robinson and for these other guys, yes, that solid color or whatever, just being there just means that it's one thing to focus in on. For me, it was just get it there. Yeah. And just make sure you complete the stroke, do the same things, but a total different feel than what real shooters.
This is like this is like playing in a high school gym almost. Like there's nothing behind that. And I think about when they played the Final Four in the Superdome or something, and the guys are shooting in the middle of nothing.
A cavern.
Yeah. And now all of a sudden, like they've got this thing really tight and small, and it's kind of like Vegas in a way, the summer league thing, and that's why I think the Grizzlies are kind of really well suited for what's going to happen out there, because who won Vegas Summer League last year? And who was on the sideline? Taylor Jenkins. Like, it seems like they're kind of really well suited for this whole situation.
Brett, is there a real answer who has an advantage, who doesn't? Because I think you can make an argument for every situation because we don't know.
Yeah, I think the best teams have the advantage in whatever situation. And so this Grizzlies team is a very good team. Those Lakers, the Clippers, those teams, Milwaukee, Toronto. I think Toronto was going to be that sleeper team. But just those teams, no matter what circumstances you put them in, they were going to be good. Those teams can win on the road if this was a regular situation. They win at home. They do all of those things. But for the younger teams, those other teams that are wanting to push, those that are at the top, the knee situations help if you have that camaraderie. Because the other thing is you're going to be around each other a lot more than you've ever been. Because when you're here at home, you at least go to your home. We practice together, but we go home. Now we're going to practice together. We go home. We stay together. Road game, home. Everything that they do is together. And I think because they are able to stand one another and get along. I think that is what gives them an advantage.
It is an unusual circumstance for sure. Head coach of the Los Angeles Clippers, Doc Rivers, talking about his team in these times.
It's not normal life. And again, there's just so much talk about it. But like our guys, honestly, we talk about it. Let's just do our jobs. After we're done practicing, live your life to the best that you can live it here. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to just live our life, have our best Disney life, and that's what we're doing. There's restaurants the guys can go to, guys that go on fishing, there's bowling, there's movies, there's a lot. There's just no dates right now. You're doing it alone or with the group. So, a lot of guys have brought their bikes. I brought my bike. It's still in the room. It's yet to leave the room. But the thought is nice. Hopefully someday I get on it. There's golf. So we got a lot to do. It's still not normal, but that's fine with us. Again, we're going to live the best Disney life that we can.
It seems like guys have bought in.
Yeah, I just realized Magic City has a different connotation in Orlando than it does in Atlanta.
Brevin?
Well, I think that they have a lot to do down there.
I mean, we've seen guys going fishing. We've seen, I read an article the other day that the guy who runs the lake at Disney said he has to order more poles because, everybody's apparently going fishing now for hours at a time and understanding the zen of it, I guess, and standing there. And I guess golf seems like a pretty safe thing you could do down there too. So I think there's plenty to do. I know some of our guys, the Grizzlies guys, have brought video game systems with them down there and are playing pretty much nonstop. So.
Right. NBA did a good job, Brevin, to make it comfortable for the player, or as comfortable as they can.
Well,
for
the thing
players.
is, I didn't even realize they had that many options.
Yeah.
To go to the movies, bowling, to do all of those different things. And you can go golf. You have the fishing. You can't go out on the pontoons. And so if you had to be in a bubble situation for a couple of months to get paid to still play basketball, I'm signing up for this bubble anytime.
Yeah.
And like you said, the bad part, the downside is, there are no dates.
Yeah.
But you're still you're able to use up your off time a lot better than just having to sit in your room.
In the 8-game dash for the cash. I mean, this is every sport's a marathon. This is a sprint. Now you're in place in your standings right now from what you did from the marathon, but now all of a sudden it's a sprint to get that playoff mentality immediately. How hard is that going to be? These scrimmages certainly help. But
I don't think it's going to be hard at all because everybody knows what the stakes are. They know that there is no cupcake game, number one, because every team pretty much that is here has earned the right to be here, and everybody's going to be playing desperate basketball, especially those that haven't secured a spot. So I think that mentality will be there immediately, and I think that teams and coaches will coach that way, except for the teams that are more settled into where they are. They'll be on a different plan, but for everybody else, I expect hard-nosed. You don't know how will it still be some level of rust, but in terms of the level of competition, I expect to see it to be at the highest that we've seen this year.
I know when the schedules came out, a lot of Grizzlies fans looked at who the Grizzlies play, and the last 3 games are the Bucks, Celtics, Raptors, I think.
Right.
Maybe not in that order, but the 3 best teams in the Eastern Conference. And a lot of people are like, well, maybe they'll be resting guys at that point. But I kind of feel like it might be the opposite because you're ramping up to play in the playoffs. And for those teams, they know they're in, and they're not going to really change their position. So I would think they're going to be increasing minutes when they get to that point and trying to get those guys as close as they can to regular season ending, to get ready for that.
Well, Boston definitely will be that way just because of Kemba Walker and his situation with him in the knee. So I think they'll take it slow as he goes, but I think they'll try to get themselves ready. The other teams, you still, because you had the hiatus and you only have the 8 games to really get ready for the playoffs, then that's when you start to tend to think, there won't be a lot of just taking full games off or anything. Like, you'll still try to play some normalcy to your rotation. But I think that this Grizzlies team is built for this situation. And every night they step on the floor, they know exactly what's at stake. And there isn't one team on our schedule where you go in feeling like, okay, well, tonight's the night that we'll be okay.
Right.
So I think they'll be on their toes.
The only one I'm trying to figure out, why is Phoenix there?
Right.
Why are they there? Like,
because they couldn't have 20. They couldn't have 21 teams.
That's exactly right.
We're like, we got to have an even number. We got to have it be 20.
It's either got to be 20 or 20, and we don't want to make the East just 8.
And we can't invite the Hornets or the Bulls, so let's just do one more team from the West.
Exactly. That's why.
You're exactly right. All right, we'll take a break here on the Odds Couple. When we come back, we'll talk about some of the favorites that are the contenders in the NBA heading into the restart, maybe some sleeper teams as well. Plus, we'll look at our own Grizzlies. That's all ahead. Brevin Knight joining us here on the Odds Couple. We're back after this on Grind City Media.
In everything we do, defensive activity, offensive execution, play together, have an edge about us. Just play with an edge. Play with an edge and play together.
Durant, block for Jaron, blocked by James. Dylan Brooks with authority. Tyus Jones to Brandon Clark. A turn and gun. He got it. Jones for three. Jones blocked by Jaron.
Yeah, stay together, Blue, stay together. Way to roll me, kid. Let's leave it out there.
Ja Morant with elevation.
Twice a week, get your Grizz fix with Talkin' Grizz presented by Wiseacre Brewing Company. Featuring me, Kelsey Wright Johnson, and NBA hoops personalities from around the league as we debate the hottest Grizzlies topics each episode. Connect with Grind City Media on all their social channels and tune in to grindcitymedia.com, Grind City Media on YouTube, or via the official Grizzlies mobile app to watch today.
Hey yo, happy Friday. It's time to rise and grind. I'm Jessica Benson.
Did you say hey yo?
Hey yo. I'm Megan
Friday.
Come
yes.
on. We have a big show lined up for you today. We've got all sorts of things to talk about within the NBA bubble, NFL updates, college football updates.
We got to get to some pop culture news. It's the music, the entertainment, everything going on.
All the stories to get you through today and into your weekend.
Rise and Grind with Jessica and Megan. Live daily at 8 a.m. on grindcitymedia.com. Welcome back to grindcitymedia.com, live from FedEx Forum and the American Home Shield Studio. Now, here's more of the Odds Couple, Rob Fischer and Lang Whitaker.
Hey, Grizz Nation, download the all-access, all-in-one Grizzlies mobile app. Get 3 experiences with one app, including a fresh Grizzlies look and feel, along with access to FedEx Forum events and Grind City Media news and notes on all things Grizzlies, NBA, and more. From podcasts to purchasing tickets and more, the new Grizzlies app has it all. Upgrade your experience and download the Grizzlies app today at the App Store and at Google Play. We welcome you back to the Odds Couple. Rob Fischer, Lang Whitaker with you. John Roser here as well. Brevin Knight joining us today as we preview the NBA season. Very excited for the NBA season to get started. Very excited to watch Grizzlies basketball. Grizzlies in a good position, 3.5 game lead heading into these final 8 games. And a week ago, we were talking about how healthy the group was. Yeah. Now Justice Winslow's done. Tyus Jones now reevaluated a week from now. I guess the rest of the Grizzlies being healthy is a good positive.
It's a great positive. Because
and you have options.
Well, and the thing is, this is where you talk about that depth, where we had talked about it can be a gift or a curse. And now it's turning out to be a gift because you have enough people that can now step up and be viable options so that this team can continue to win. But it's also good that Taylor Jenkins played 10 guys, 12 guys during the regular season. So the guys that will step in and play understand exactly how to play, and they know how to play with one another. The bench was extremely important to this team in terms of them winning games. And so this would be a big blow with Tyus going down, but I think that they can have enough to try to at least cover that up and continue to push forward until they're able to get them back.
The one thing I would say is, Tyus wasn't the guy who was going to come off the bench and give you 15 points a game, right? So he's coming in, he's super efficient, going to hit those floaters, going to make the right pass, make the right reads, be where he's supposed to be on defense. But you're not trying to replace a lot of points with him. So, maybe you can cheat and use Kyle to run the point a little bit, or Josh Jackson can kind of come in there and play some of those minutes. But
D'Anthony,
I would assume Melt would play a lot of that too. And I just think, it's losing Tyus hurts, certainly, especially for these first 3 games, because you open up with a killer schedule. The 3 teams breathing down your neck.
Yeah.
The Pelicans, the Blazers, and the Spurs. I mean, talk about it's a small world, right? Like, you turn around and you got to play those 3 teams to start this thing off. So these 3 teams, to me, I wrote a thing for Grind City Media today where I talked about, we've all heard it, the NBA season is a marathon, not a sprint. And like you said earlier, this is a sprint.
Yeah.
You got to be ready from the jump with this thing, and you got to get ready to go. And having this much experience with all those guys playing together, I think it's going to be only helpful.
Brevin, I don't take a lot from Summer League. I don't take a lot from exhibition season. I mean, the good's good. It's good. You'd rather see good than bad. I take more from the bad than I do good, however, in both those situations. Kyle Anderson shooting. What am I supposed to think about this? I mean, the last 3 games, he's looked like, we're going to get 14 a game from Kyle Anderson? Great.
I think we take away from it that this is something that can be sustained. And because, number one, the health is there, first and foremost, so he feels good. But the stroke looks good, and he's confident, no hesitancy to shooting it. So I think that is something that we can continue to look forward to. The one thing that you wait for when any of us start to find that success, when it's something that you haven't done before, is when you hit a little bit of a lull, what happens then? Do you revert back, or do you continue with that same consistent mindset? And so I think he would stay in that mindset because he's very confident and very happy.
He's a veteran.
And first and foremost, that he feels good enough to be able to move his arm in a correct motion and just shoot it.
I texted someone during the game yesterday, and I was like, do you think these are the 3 best consecutive games Kyle has played in a Grizzlies uniform? And I think it is. Like, I haven't seen him play this well since he's been on the Grizzlies, because he came in and had the injury and then came in last year having undergone surgery in the offseason and trying to get right. And to me, it's not that he's making the shots, it's that he's taking them without hesitation.
Right.
And there were so many times, even this year, the first couple months of the season, where he would get the ball in the corner wide open and wouldn't take the shot and try to make the pass because he didn't feel confident in the ability to even take the shot. And now that thing's flying. So if he's even just taking that shot, that changes defensive coverages and it's going to make somebody else open.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. The Kyle games now, it changes.
Yeah.
You get mad, like
we were used to like the 5, 5, 5, 5, and 5.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's always solid. Like he was just solid. Now if you start to throw in the double-figure points with all of the other statistical categories that he still was doing during the scrimmages, then now you start to say, wow, it starts to solidify that small forward position.
Yeah, the Grizzlies 1-2 in their 3 scrimmages, but certainly saw progress from game 1 to game 2, and then from game 2 to game 3. Here's head coach of the Grizzlies, Taylor Jenkins, talking about the team improving.
I think our communication's steadily improving. All areas, whether they're good areas or areas that we significantly got to get better in. I think we just got to get more, improvement in all those areas. I think defensively, some of our game plan discipline can be a lot better. Whether that's an individual assignment, whether that's a coverage-based thing that we got to improve on, and offensively, obviously when we get out and play in transition, we're lethal, but we got to do a better job in the half court. We're going to see teams like what the Sixers did, use their physicality, try to take away the paint. What did the Rockets do? They switch a lot and still are physical and try to take away the paint, and we kind of slow up. So when teams are doing that against us, we got to do a better job of playing with more force, playing with more pace, get to next actions. All things that we preach all season long. It's great for our guys to get these healthy reminders of what we're probably going to face when the seeding games start. So that's my thought process. Better execution defensively in all areas, especially game plan. And then offensively, we just got to play with more force in the half court.
Like I said, I think we saw improvement from game 1 to game 2 for sure. And then from game 2 to game 3. Yesterday, that was a complete game against the Miami Heat, and the team played very well. So that's good. It makes me feel like they're lining up to be ready to go.
And I liked what he said the thing I focused on was the defensive side. And what I saw was the multiple efforts. And I thought that they did a pretty good job in their rotations. But listening to Coach Jenkins there, the one thing he said was they could have been better in terms of their rotations and their assignments. But to not be on point with that, but the effort be there to cover up those mistakes, I think that's something that you take away as a positive. And so the offensive end will take care of itself. But if that defensive effort and presence can be there on a regular basis, then that at least gives them the option to get out and run, to not have to just play half-court offense. And so that was encouraging to see.
I felt like, when you play Houston, it's not like a real scrimmage because
Yes.
you're playing it's these weird
basketball.
lineups. Yeah, you don't, and you're trying. I feel like they're tricking everybody else when they play a team because you see, we got a mismatch, we got to go here, and you don't run your offense,
Yes.
and that's how they're killing
Yes.
everybody. So for the Grizzlies, it's a game, but it's nothing's normal from that. And then yesterday, even when they were making the right rotations, the Heat were making a lot of tough shots in that game. So I felt like you can clearly see that these guys are getting more comfortable and getting better playing together, and I think they're in a pretty good place.
Yeah, they have been playing very well. Obviously, it's a race for the 8th seed in the Western Conference. Portland, New Orleans, San Antonio. Which one scares you the most?
For me, it's the Portland Trailblazers.
First, let me ask you this. Can any of them catch them in 8 games for 8th?
3.5 behind, right?
Yes, yeah, because they don't have to fully catch you.
Yeah, no, but I mean, can anyone catch them for the 8th seed? They can make the play-in. I think any of these. I think 2 of them could make the play-in, but can any of them catch the Grizzlies? Like be 8 and the Grizzlies be 9?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yes, yes, because
I don't.
The strength because how tough the Grizzlies schedule is, number one. And the one thing that scares me is if Damian Lillard is healthy, the Trailblazers scare me because they have 3 guys that are NBA scorers. That when you play in playoff basketball, when it becomes half-court basketball, they have 3 bona fide options and guys that you don't have to throw the ball to in the post. And McCollum, Lillard, and Carmelo Anthony.
Skinny Carmelo.
Skinny Carmelo, exactly.
Good.
So now you add Nurkic, Collins to that. Where will they be? But that adds more depth to their team, gives them the size and rebounding. So can that team catch the Grizzlies? Yes. And which team scares me the most? It's the Portland Trailblazers.
I agree with you, and I think another team that, if the Pelicans are all healthy, they're a team that can score a lot of points because Alvin Gentry is going to run it up. And, the Grizzlies' schedule does them no favors. They play all 3 of those teams to start, and then they play those 3 really tough Eastern Conference teams to end the thing. There's no games you look at and you're like, oh, we got this. These are, this is a night off. So, they're going to have to earn it to get into this.
You go out and win those first 3, it's over. I mean,
think
you're
too.
finishing it. You're at least in 8th, and you got the play.
But if you lose those first 3, then it's a whole new thing.
And now how much do you now start to look and feel that pressure? So it would be nice to get the first one. I think that would at least take some of those nerves away. But they can definitely be caught. Yeah. And the teams behind those 2 in particular, I don't think San Antonio has enough to do it. But those New Orleans and Portland, they have enough.
Yeah, New Orleans' schedule is so easy.
Yeah.
The Pelicans' schedule is, it is as easy as it gets.
Right. But the thing about their schedule is tough start. If the Grizzlies can get the benefit,
right
they got Utah, the Clippers, and then the Grizzlies.
Yes.
So if you go into that third one, the Grizzlies got to take care of business first. You go in that and you win your first 2, they lose their first 2. Man, you're almost talking elimination already.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I would say the Grizzlies got to take care of business right off the bat Friday against Portland.
Yeah.
Jaren Jackson can't be fouling out in 20 minutes still. Like that dude has fouled out the last 2 games. He has fouled out in 20 minutes, both games. Let's take him 20 minutes and he gets 6 fouls. That can't be against Portland because now that they got their guys back, they got size down there.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Portland, Skinny Mello talking about the race for that 8th seed.
8 games, we understand the situation in the uphill battle that we're in. I think that's why we have the commitment that we have from our team right now, and the focus that we have. I know a lot of people, can't see it or don't see it, but we believe and we understand what we have to do, and we understand the fight that's ahead of us. But I think from a competitive standpoint, the guys that I talk to on the team, which is everybody, they feel the same way. They feel like from a competitive standpoint, if we go and do what we have to do and just lock in for this short period of time, that we have an opportunity to create something, to do something special.
Well, they feel they're healthy, and why not? And having a guy, as you mentioned, they got 3 legitimate bona fide scorers, but they got 1 guy that you can look at as a superstar in this league, and a guy that can just take over games.
Man, I'm excited though. I mean, just listen to hear him.
We've seen exciting stuff from Dame. Just talking about Dame can get you excited.
Man, but just to hear Melo talk about their sense of urgency, to hear our guys talk about how much they relish the underdog role, how people say they can't do it. Can you imagine just the energy that's going to be coming off of that floor? I mean, to be able to sit and call that it's going to be some good basketball. And to your point, like you said earlier, this is going to be teams going after it right now, and it's going to be. I think people are going to see a different level. This is not regular season basketball. Right. This is not, let me see which game. I'm turning on every game. I want to see every game.
It's going to be odd watching these games at like 2 o'clock. They have these different start times, right? But it's going to be weird watching a game at that time and being so locked in.
Yes.
Right? Because normally,
and then leaving the arena and the sun's out.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
Knowing you got to go home and do stuff there.
We used to call him Hatchet Man.
Hatchet Man needs some work to do. Yeah, that's true.
We used to call them bacon games. When the Knicks would have the 1 o'clock starts, and I lived in New York, we covered those games. When you get there at 10:30 or whatever for the game, they would always have breakfast out for the media.
Right.
So we always call those the bacon games.
Those are my type games, bacon games.
Bacon games, absolutely. Yes. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll look at the conference favorites and maybe some sneaky teams in both the East and the West, plus our 5 picks for the NBA restart. That's coming up next here on The Odds Couple on Grind City Media.
In everything we do, defensive activity, offensive execution, play together, have an edge about us. Just play with an edge. Play with an edge and play together.
Durant, lob for Jaren, blocked by James. Dylan Brooks with authority. Tyus Jones to Brandon Clark. A turn and gun. He got it. Jones for 3. Jones blocked by Jaren.
Yeah, stay together, Blue, stay together. Way to roll me, kid. Let's leave it out there.
Ja Morant with elevation.
I love the haircut. They tell me you've been getting beat up over it, Zach.
They
face.
say I look like I'm 25. I was in somebody said I was in Vegas. They said, "Is that Zion?" I said, "I paid away for little." I said, "That's my little brother."
Tune in to grindcitymedia.com, Grind City Media on YouTube, or on the official Grizzlies mobile app to catch Chris live or download each episode daily, and subscribe at iTunes, Spotify, or SoundCloud today. What's up, Grizzlies fans? I'm Megan Triplett, and I have some exciting news to share. We have a new app. That's right. It's a 3-in-1 experience that you don't want to miss out on. Check this out. The app will keep you up to date on all of the Grizzlies stats and latest news. If you're looking to see what events are going on at FedEx Forum, that can all be found on the app as well. Plus, if you want to see more of me and the rest of the Grind City Media team, like Chris Vernon, Lang Whitaker, and Mike Wallace, there's a section for all that. It is 365 days of content to keep you in touch with all things Grizzlies, FedEx Forum, and GCM. And did I mention you can also purchase and manage tickets on the app? The app does it all. Download it now.
Welcome back to The Odds Couple on GrindCityMedia.com. Live from FedEx Forum and the American Home Shield Studio. Here's The Odds Couple, Rob Fischer and Lang Whitaker.
Well, it's time, Memphis. Join Ja Morant, your Memphis Grizzlies, Friday at 3 p.m. as they tip off in the Orlando bubble and battle Damian Lillard and the Portland Trailblazers, presented by Pinnacle Financial Partners. Fans will want to tune in early at 2:30 to catch Grizzlies Live, presented by Ford and your Mid-South Ford dealers, featuring Pete Pranica, Chris Vernon, Brevin Knight, and myself on Fox Sports Southeast. Check local listings at Grizzlies.com for your channel guide. We welcome you back to The Odds Couple, getting you set for the NBA season. Contenders in the West. Lakers, certainly, they're the 1 seed. Clippers are at number 2. How far does the list go past that?
Denver could catch the Clippers. Denver's only a game and a half back of the Clippers, and the Clippers don't have anybody. Lou Williams quarantining for 10 days. Beverly's still not with them, is he?
I think he just got back.
Beverly just got back. Yeah, Harrell had left, I know, and he's back now. But so they really, and it's kind of been the case with the Clippers all season. Because Paul George sits out one game, then Kawhi sits out the next game. They really haven't really developed any of the chemistry that you would expect to develop over the course of a season.
I don't think it matters.
I mean, Kawhi and Paul George are that awesome.
Like you've got the two best guys. Like you're going to be in good shape. I just think the Lakers are better suited for this situation, and they've got the GOAT. They got LeBron. Like, what else you need? You know.
I think the Lakers will ultimately be that team, but the Houston Rockets, for whatever reason.
Houston they are the third odds-on favorite to win in the West, despite being in the 6th seed.
Well, the reason being is because, like what I said for Portland is, they have two guys that can do it by themselves. They already play that style of basketball. It's only a short amount of games right now, and then you get into the playoff series. I just think that it's conducive to there won't be having to shoot on someone else's rims. Mm-hmm. It's going to be shooting on the same rims. It's going to be shooting with the same backdrop. And I think that gives them a little bit of an edge. The only thing that hurts them is the Eric Gordon injury.
Yeah.
The Eric Gordon injury puts a little bit of a dent into looking at them as being one of those sneaky teams.
I also just wonder what happens once they get into a 7-game series against a team that gets the chance to play that same style over and over again. Because I think a lot of their regular season success with this small ball lineup is, you're on the second half of a back-to-back and you don't really have time to prepare for this. And like I said, you fall in that trap of, there's the mismatch, let's go there, and you mess up your offense and all that. And I think about when the Spurs played them a couple of years ago in the playoffs and just went over the top of every screen, and the Rockets had no idea what to do, and it knocked them out. Like, if some team's going to be able to figure out what it is in a 7-game series, that could beat Houston.
Yeah, I think just much like our game with Houston the other night was it really comes down to whether or not, before like the previous seasons when they've always had Capella as the lone big man in there, or even now when they're playing small, if they hit 22 or 23 threes, like it doesn't matter. You're in for it, and you're going to be forced to play the way they want to play. But because they are so small, if they're not hitting 22, 23 threes and they're only hitting 11 of them, well, you're going to kill them on the glass. Right. Especially like a team like the Lakers. Like the Lakers have so much size. Like they could eat Houston alive on the glass.
Yeah. Speaking of the Lakers, LeBron James, the aforementioned GOAT, talking about the NBA's restart.
I think every season has its own challenges, has its own obstacles. You have to adjust to it. And this is a different year with a different challenge, a different obstacle. So you have to adjust to that and have that growth mindset. So the mentality for me hasn't changed, even though we had to lay off, the pandemic hit, and we had to go into cancellation of our season for a few months. But every year you're going to have some things that you have to adjust to that you may not be ready for. It's the same with 1920. When the season was suspended, I got an opportunity to be home with my family. Every day, seeing my wife, seeing my kids, being home, being present, that was a blessing. Having this experience right here, it feels like a big old AAU tournament for grown men. You take it and you enjoy it, and we get to do what we love to do, and that's play the game of basketball and be with our teammates and brothers.
I think that's the coolest thing. Watching it in that feel of an AAU game with the best players in the world is pretty cool to watch.
And most of the Grizzlies players were in AAU tournaments 2 years ago.
Exactly. Yeah, so they're not far removed from it at all.
In the East, Milwaukee, Boston, Toronto, pretty much all at the top there as far as the favorites are concerned. Does it go beyond that?
No. I know you said you like Toronto. I like Milwaukee a lot. I just think for them, Toronto, I think, really played off having that home crowd behind them, and when they have the We the North and all that stuff. And I think for the Bucks, this is a leveler. Now everyone's playing road games basically, and I think maybe this is Giannis's turn to really step forward and say, like, this is my time now. So,
only thing that scares me, I go back to it. Watch in the All-Star game when the game got tight down the end. Mm-hmm. It was not Giannis that was going to get the basketball. It was Giannis going to the side and just being a spectator. I said that when we came back from watching. I was like, so one thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way with a guy that we are talking about as being the best in the game. And never saw the best in the game take a back seat to anybody. I'm talking from LeBron James to people that thought they were the best in the game. Stephon Marbury to Allen Iverson. I mean, all the way down the line, for those people that could will things to happen, they always stepped up. He was cool to just be out there watching. And so I think that Toronto has a spirit and to be able to do it. And this team that we just beat in the scrimmage game, the Miami Heat, I don't think too many of these teams won. Definitely Milwaukee does not want the Miami Heat to stay in the 4th spot.
Miami is my sleeper because I think Eric Spoelstra is a hell of a coach, first of all.
Yep.
And I think Jimmy Butler has found a home where he has fit in and has been very happy. I think they got a great mix of veterans and young guys who can play. They got offensive ability, and if they do anything well, they get after you.
Yep.
And you don't have to worry.
defend.
In so many teams, it is like a lot of questions are, what are they going to do in the last 5 minutes of a game? And there's no question. It's Jimmy Butler's team,
Right.
and Jimmy Butler's getting the ball, and Jimmy Butler has performed very well in those situations too.
Yeah.
Got a history of making big shots.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think if I had a sleeper, even from either conference, I'd probably go Miami, being a sleeper team this year, because you don't hear a lot of love for them as far as winning a championship. All right, how about our picks for this week? We will start with mine. Fish's 5. My East champ I'm with BK, Toronto. I'm going with the Raptors to come back and repeat as the Eastern Conference champions. I'm going with the Los Angeles Lakers in the West. I think they're just... Well, they got the GOAT, and when they got LeBron James and they got Anthony Davis on the floor.
What is he the GOAT of? Losing in the finals?
Losing in the finals?
I mean,
he has won in the finals, too,
3.
by the way.
He's also lost like
and he's
8 times.
He's the GOAT of today. I'm not saying he's better than Jordan. We're not having that
so many
discussion.
times in the finals.
You sounded
I've
like
lost track
Curly
of
from
it.
the Three Stooges.
He
As soon as you said it, I'm so here.
He's got the arguable GOAT. How about that? Is that better?
I've lost track of how many times he's lost in the finals. I can't even remember anymore.
Wow.
Was it like 10?
All right, I'll go with the arguable GOAT. And I'm taking the arguable GOAT and his Lakers to win the championship. One of the great prop bets, will a player score 52.5 or more points in a game? I say no. It's just too small of a sample size. I think the defense will be ahead of the offense to start. So I'm going no on that. Will a team go 8-0? I say yes.
Yeah.
I think we will have an 8-0 team. I think there are many teams capable of going 8-0. Lang's locks.
We're the same on the props and stuff. I just had the Bucks, and I think this is the Bucks year. And I know Brevin's putting stock in what he saw in the All-Star game. But in the All-Star game, however,
when it happens, you'll be like, oh,
you know what else happened in the All-Star game? Benny the Bull did the single ladies dance in front of P. Diddy and Jay-Z. Like, weird things happen in the All-Star game. We don't put stock in
basketball players are basketball players, and whenever they step on the floor.
So I'm going with the Bucks to win it all. I think this is Giannis's year.
All right, Roser?
I'm going to go with the Bucks in the East, the Clippers in the West, and I think the Clippers. Nobody loves this NBA restart more than Kawhi Leonard. He doesn't have to talk. There are no fans there. He doesn't have to worry about anybody asking him for a picture or anything.
Right.
Like, he just gets to play basketball. I think this is perfect for somebody like Kawhi Leonard. Yes, I'm going to go with the Clippers. If anybody's going to get over 52.5 points, it's probably James Harden, but I'm going to say nobody gets to over 52.5. And then will a team go 8-0? I don't think a team's going to go 8-0.
All right. BK.
Well, I'm going with Toronto out of the East.
Okay.
I'm going with the Lakers out of the West. The Lakers will win it all. I just think that all of that LeBron talk from last year, he's too old, he's done. He's not the GOAT. All of those things, I think, have driven him to
He may not
this
even be
point.
the best player on his own team.
we got to draw the line somewhere, bro. We draw the line somewhere.
Anthony Davis might be the
We're
best
going to have to
player
do
on
another
that
show.
I believe there will be a 52-plus point score in these games, and it will be in Houston. And there will be no 8-0 team.
All right. No 8-0 team.
None.
Well, it's going to be fun, man. I can't wait for it to get started, and I know y'all are fired up about it as well. And we've waited a long time for this, and so to now get some basketball, it's going to be cool. And I'm with you, Brevin, what you said earlier. I think these scrimmages were huge for the individual players, the teams as a whole, to just get used to it and kind of get used to the environment. So when we start on Thursday, it's going to be just basketball, and we're going to play basketball, and I would expect that sort of start.
Yeah, and that's what I'm telling you, we're going to see. Tune in. Of course, tune into all the Grizzly games, but just watch basketball in general. I think you're going to be very happy with the product that we're going to see.
And tune in.
I can't wait to hear the bump, bump, ba-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Been too long since we've heard that.
Make sure you tune into Grizzlies games a half hour early for
better.
Grizzlies Live pregame show with myself, Chris Vernon, Pete Pranica, and BK. Brevin, thanks for coming in today, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I like this drop-in day. We should do this. I think I want to do this once a month. I'm going to do it. I'm going to
dropping in on stuff.
Drop-in Grind City Media Show Day.
The car wash.
You come in when we do the college football shows and that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, listen, I can talk a whole lot about Stanford football. I'm ready.
Glad somebody can.
Lang, always a pleasure.
Yes,
Thank you,
sir.
sir. Thank you, Roser. Thank you, Kimball. Thank you for joining us here today on The Odds Couple. The NBA season restarts. We will be back soon now that sports are getting going. Now we have things to talk about here on The Odds Couple. So keep it here on Grind City Media. Thanks for joining us.
To The Odds Couple from the American Home Shield Studio on grindcitymedia.com. Tune in next week for more football handicapping with Rob Fischer and Lang Whitaker.